Namaste and hello. This is your Sanskrit instructor welcoming you back into lesson 101. In the previous lesson, we went over two examples on how to conjugate verbs in the imperfect tense, one for Atmanepadi and the other one for Parasmaipadi, active and middle voice. Now, in this lesson, we're going to talk about verbs that are preceded by a preposition in the imperfect tense. They're different because when they're conjugated in the imperfect tense, because remember an is added in the imperfect tense before and after the verbal base. So when a verb is preceded by a preposition, the augment should be inserted between the preposition and the verb, and the rules of the sandhis should apply. So we will go over 3 examples so that you guys can see what they're talking about. In pravish, there is an in the pra. So the augment has to be inserted between the preposition and the verb. So in this second column here, that's what you're seeing, that the is being inserted between the pra and the vish. So this the vowel sandhis needs to take place. So this plus this or a plus or a equals a. So that's how you end up with pravish. And then you would add your termination endings for the imperfect tense. Same thing for anubhu. So you have an u in anu, and then you have the bhu. Well, after this is after the verbal base is formed in the first person, it becomes bhav. Then you have anu, and then is inserted as an augment. So then you have anu bhav, right? So an u followed by a dissimilar vowel becomes a half va. Okay? Now, if you don't remember this sandhi rule, when an u is followed by a dissimilar vowel, it's changed to a va. What we'll have to do, so this u is going to change to a va. So a va with a halan plus an a is going to give you anva, and then you just have the bhav. If you don't remember this sandhi rule, you can refer back into lesson number 71. But the sandhi rule is when an u or u is followed by a dissimilar vowel, it is changed to an half va. So you end up with anva bhava, and then you add your termination ending. Now for here, we have pratipat, and then when an e is followed by a dissimilar vowel, and again you can refer to lesson number 71 for the sandhi rule. When an e is followed by a dissimilar vowel, this e turns into it turns into a half ya, a ya with a halant. So it becomes prat ya. Okay. Another way to pratya. Well, actually, this ta doesn't have a vowel fulfilling it, so it actually would be pratya with a halant. And then that plus an a is going to give you pratyapata. And then you would add your termination ending. So again, refer back to lesson 71 with vowels that are followed by a dissimilar vowel. Now, when a verb begins with a vowel, then the augment a forms a vridhi with the initial vowel. So Once you hear about the terms gurna and vridhi, you know what table to go back to. You know what table to go and refer to. You have to go back to your old friend with the gurna and the vridhi changes that are being made. So us, for example, when the verb begins with a vowel, the augment a forms vridhi with the initial vowel. So us. Now, us would usually be asyati, for example, for third person plural, third person singular in the present tense. But since we have an is being added, what the verb says, the rule says that when a verb begins with the vowel, the augment forms vridhi with the initial vowel. So the initial vowel is a. So this is going to take vridhi. So what's going to happen is you're going to ignore that That's going to take vridhi. When takes vridhi, you're going to end up with a. So instead of asya, you're going to end up with asya, and then you're going to add your termination ending for the imperfect conjugation, for the imperfect tense. Now for ish to wish is usually itcha, but since before you're converting it, this is going to take gurna. I mean, not gurna. This is going to take vridhi, the I, and again, we're going to ignore the augment, this because this change is happening because the is before it. So then, instead of itchati, instead of itch, and then you're adding your termination endings, how you do in the present tense, you're going to end up, when it takes vridhi, it turns into a, so you have h instead, and then you're going to add your termination endings for the imperfect tense. Now ush, the verb ush, third person singular, ush means to burn. So ush, it's usually conjugated in first person as ushati, because the o takes gurna. But since in this scenario, because an is here, this o no longer takes gurna anymore, but it takes vridhi. So it's no longer osh and then you're adding your termination, but it's aush, then you're adding your terminations, and again you're disregarding the because the change was made because the augment was there before you added your termination endings. On our last example, we have ri. So in our example, ri, in the same way, because an is preceding this vowel, we're going to discard this This ri is going to take gurna, and when ri takes gurna, you end up with ar, with a halant, and then this ar, instead of reach and adding reach and adding your termination ending like how you do in the present tense, you end up with arch. This is the a and the arch. So it's just something to be mindful about when you're adding a prefix, when you're adding an when a verb is preceded by a preposition, you have to be mindful of your vowel sandhis. If it doesn't start with if your verbal base doesn't start with a vowel, and you have to consider vridhi, your vridhi table, if your verbal base starts with a vowel. And then you add your termination endings. So that is that. And this is your Sanskrit instructor signing off with a namaste.